track for everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe, well, what, 6 weeks ago now, we started the first event for what would turn out to be a really interesting championship. The time for me has flown by, quite honestly. I look forward to commentating this every week. I'm sure you do too, because we just never know what the end result will be.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's some of the most educational racing I've ever seen. I've met so many new people and got to know so many new drivers and how they are connected to sim racing and how they're connected to other teams that we see race, sort of on the Friday championships as well. And it's been absolutely lovely. Everybody's been absolutely excellent, and the racing has been, well, to be fair, it's been drama filled, and I'd rather it be drama filled than completely boring. Well, the drama doesn't end today because elephant in the room early, championship leader in pro, Felipe Bokita, not here.
I think it's something to do with the time zones. I think she said she couldn't quite make it for this event, which is sad because, well, we can't crown our champion tonight. But I'm sure she knows, obviously, in her head that she is the champion. Obviously, unfortunately, Rose, or both of the Roses, the first one pulled out Mia after Alton Park, and then Anal Rose pulled out well, it was during qualifying for Nürburgring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was a dramatic exit in qualifying at the Nürburgring last week in the wet that Rose decided to pull out. And I got to say, the frustration was very obvious from some of the public statements that Rose made. And now Bokita not here. So the question is, in the final round, who is going to win in pro? And with the championships pretty much notched up in every category, it is a major scrap for second on back. And those championships still very well in play here as the final seconds of qualifying tick off. And just a rehash or a recap from last week. It was a very rainy Nürburgring. It was actually one of the cleaner races that we had seen. And as you would expect with a wet weather race, half the field loved it, half the field absolutely hated the weather. I assume that has a lot to do with what cars they were in.
Yeah, I think if you were in maybe a mid-engine car, or at least from personal experience, you wouldn't enjoy it so much. However, front-engine cars may be a little bit more responsive to the weather, a little bit more understeer, but definitely more predictable, less likely for it to just suddenly switch directions on you mid-corner and throw you into the nearest wall.
Yes, indeed. It was very much the case. Well, today, at least for now, no rain in sight. Looks like it is dry as we enter qualifying. The cool down for practice going on. Keep in mind the qualifying format unchanged for the final round. 30-minute session, 15 minutes for the silver and the pro drivers, and then another 15 minutes for all of the AMs. And then we will go racing for the final hour, the final time in Diamond Drive Season 1. And, well, it is Nate and I's very much esteemed pleasure to announce that it looks like the Diamond Drive Season 2 is going to happen.
Yeah, so excited when Mike Jones announced it would happen. Not every week this time, though, for season 2. Every other week, every 2 weeks, as we're weaving it between a different competition.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. It gives you, I always appreciated that. I always appreciated having a week off and then getting back to it as a driver because it gives you extra time to, if you've had a bad race, sort of practice a bit, try to suss out some of the issues that you had, or if you had a good week, it gives you an extra week to relish it. I definitely in competition, I always loved going into a off week being the winner too, because you get an extra week of being the man or the lady or the person. And that's sort of what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to win right before a break. Well, speaking of a break, small momentary break here before qualifying underway. And here we are, the first 15 minutes of the 30-minute session. We will have the pros and the silvers. And Nate, what on earth happened to our pro class?
Yeah, it seems to have vanished. I'm not quite sure how we ended up with, was it 2 pro drivers this evening? Or is it just the one? Is it just Sarah Dove? But yeah, obviously with both Roses retiring, unfortunately, and Bokita not making it, and Vicky Thompson also pulling out, yeah, I think we're down to 1 or 2.
So if I can't do that. I don't have the right pronouns. Dang it! I could have stolen a podium position in pro, but alas, I do not have the correct pronouns for the Diamond Drive Cup, and that is sort of the point after all. Well, our pro class has definitely dwindled, but the action in silver and am has been anything but. In the pro battle has been incredibly interesting as well, because I don't think, ever since Alton Park, the season opener, I don't think we have had a single round, the 4 that preceded that. I don't think any of them quite went to plan for anybody. It was so very strange and interesting to see the races change for the top step of the podium in pro. But today, I kind of think I know who's going to win.
Make your prediction so when it doesn't come true because you put the commentator's curse on it, chat can get very angry with you.
Yes, indeed. Well, the thing is, up until a few weeks ago, when we started commentators cursing people again, I had thought we had gotten past that. But 2 weeks ago, I felt like anything you and I did, Ryan Gill was in there as well, and also Ryan Mawson. Every time we said anything, we would commentators curse somebody, and that I'd gotten a little too comfortable, and it started to make me a bit more fearful. Well, here is one of the pro silver cars. I didn't quite catch the name on that car, but this is Spa Francorchamps. This looks like this is going to be Fox's ride. Is now going to go down through Eau Rouge and Radeon, the most difficult set of corners on this track. Wouldn't you agree, Nate?
Oh, absolutely. This corner, I absolutely hate it because you go into it and you're like, okay, this lap I'll take it flat. This lap I'll take a little bit more speed. And for me, every single time I seem to catch the inside curb, which really unsettles the car, which throws me to the outside over the hill, and I very quickly meet both tire barriers on the left and the right side of the track.
Well, through Les Combes, and this is a very deceptive corner here. You can take a lot more speed through there than you initially think you can. And through the hairpin here, I think that's Bruxelles. I'm not entirely sure. This is my favorite corner on the track here. I call it the carousel, but that's not actually what it's called. In the wet, this is lethal, but in the dry, you can lose and make up a lot of time here. Bobby and Schmedberger taught me how to take this corner correctly for the first time. Very appreciative of that. Gained me nearly 2 seconds is how much time you can gain or lose. And then the rhythm section here. Got to get it correct. Got to get it right. Got to use all of the curb in the dry. Otherwise, you will be struggling dearly. Don't go too wide here. You will get a short track cut penalty, 3 of those, and you will get a drive through. The same with this corner coming onto the straightaway. That's not a straightaway. And into Blochemont. Got to get this right. This is also very easy to get a track cut penalty, but also very easy to blow your lap apart. Can't do that either. And then finally, the chicane here, the bus stop. It's named a bus stop chicane still, but there is no bus stop there anymore. The bus stop replaced with a more traditional chicane. And Nicole Fox is going to come to the line and set the first lap at 2:17.766. I wonder how well that will hold up to the field.
That's a quick time. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't even think I could match that, and I feel like I'm pretty handy around Spa when I'm not meeting the tie barriers on this particular corner.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. I was wondering if I could do. I don't think I can do a 17.766, but Nicole Fox can for next round racing. And Schmidt slots into the second spot, 6/10 off. Horton in third with 9/10 off. And the track temp looking very nice, 16 degrees C. That's pretty much optimal to get the quickest lap times out of the tires and out of the cars. So all the teams here have pretty much the perfect go of it, which is complete opposite of last week where they had probably the worst conditions they could have ever asked for. But sun shining here at 8 p.m. Sun is going down, a lot of shadows. I always found that to be a problem around Spa as well. So what happened to Schmidt? Schmidt had already ran a lap there. We talked about running the second quickest time up the Kimmel straight. What happens? Oh, they just stop. Okay, very interesting indeed. I thought maybe there was going to be an incident there. There wasn't an incident. Schmidt just decides to reset, which you can do, make an adjustment. Remember, the Pro and Silvers have to just about the 15-minute mark in this session to get their time down. Oh, dear. Well, I think it's now as good a time as any to talk about it.
Don't you dare.
So we will. Alice Horton, who has raced for Speed Kitty all season long, is now Speed Kitty #thigh highs for Nate. Because Nate, you've said something a bit silly to the DDC drivers. You want to explain?
Well, I made a joke. I got myself too deep, and I was too ashamed to back out. Basically, I've promised all the drivers for the first round of season 2, if they can complete one racing lap of Spa without anybody crashing or taking someone else out, I will commentate the first race of season 2 in thigh highs.
Drivers of the Diamond Drive Cup, I am pleading for your support and help here. I have to see Nate in thigh highs. So if you could just drive around as if it were a pace lap for one lap so we could all see that, that would be just fantastic. So #thigh highs for Nate. And, well, that's why I don't mess with racing drivers, Nate, because they will hold you to that. And I'm sure they want to see that. I want to see that. And I don't know what you've gotten yourself into. Sophie Arrow in 8th place currently, as Horton goes 2nd place, knocks Schmidt down to 3rd. Times are coming down. It is going to be difficult to beat that 17.776, I feel. But we will see if anybody is up to the task. Yes, Schmidt and Dove are our only 2 pro drivers. Vandenberg, who is a silver driver, has not ran a lap that has counted yet. So they are dead last on the field. And just as I say that, there we have it indeed. Yvonne Vandenberg does run a time, slots themselves into the top 10 for GTWR female.
Sorry, I just want to jump in. I'm reading the chat right now. Sorry, they have to complete lap 1, not a racing lap. They have to complete the first lap when the field is bunched up. The first racing lap, so it doesn't count for the formation lap. No pit limiter on slow laps. It has to be the first racing lap at racing speed, or else the deal is off.
No. Nobody said it had to be at racing speed. You said the first lap of the race. So if they all drive around in a procession, that counts as long as nobody crashes. And I think this is one thing that no matter what team you drive for, no matter what manufacturer, no matter what esports team or what your background is, we can all agree we have to open up season 2 with you in some thigh highs. And here's the thing: I asked him, folks, before we went live today, if he had thought about the color of the socks that he was going to wear, and he said no, he hadn't got that far. He also doesn't think that the drivers will make it one lap without crashing, which I think is I think it's the
2 things in life are guaranteed: death and Bentley drivers missing their braking points.
Wow, that is those are some fighting words from Nate today. I don't know if I would say that as Catherine Taylor for Seaside goes to 2nd place, returns to pit road. They will probably make a few changes and get back out there for one more lap. Vandenberg knocked down to the 10th place position. But speaking of Bentleys, we'll see what they can do coming to the line here. See if they can get out of the top or up into the top 5. I reckon they might. Bentley is pretty good around here, at least on the straightaways. Let's see. Coming through the chicane, coming up to the line. What does Vandenberg get? Up to 7th place, a nice improvement, a 19 for Vandenberg. Schmidt goes to pole. Team Fordzilla showing up and showing out, a pole position provisionally for one of the only 2 pro drivers left. Schmidt getting it done in qualifying. That's 17.190. It's going to be hard to beat, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's rapid. I think people will get close. I don't think anyone will beat it now. I would just comfortably say that Schmidt will be our pole sitter for the race, but I think it is all to play for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and the rest of the other positions.
I was just thinking about your thigh highs again really quickly.
Oh, here we go.
I think I should be allowed, either me and the DDC group, I think we should be able to pick out which ones you wear. I think is what is how that should go. You wear them, we pick them out, and I have just the cutest pair of Hello Kitty. I think that you should. I'll donate them to you. Moving right along. Still a couple of minutes left in the session here to get your lap in. And of course, all flying laps will count once we hit the 15-minute barrier. So Nate, let's talk about it since we are here. Surprised to see all of the Astons up at the front here in qualifying so far.
No, honestly, I'm not surprised to see that. The Aston is very good around this track. Like I mentioned before, I don't know which cars have the best bop and where, but I would be very absolutely confident in saying that the Aston has one of the best bops at this track. Even coming from, like I said, someone who doesn't know much about it, but I've driven it around here many times. I think I did a 3-hour race around here. And it just feels so planted. It just feels like you can really tip it into the corners, and it's just compliant. It just does what you ask it to. So seeing the Astons up there, not a great surprise to me personally. And I imagine we'll potentially see a few quicker times from the likes of Catherine Taylor and Alice Horton.
Vandenberg stays 7th. Schmidt, nobody troubling Schmidt. By the way, went quicker, 16.968. And Schmidt has dropped the mic and returned to pit road. Oh boy, that is getting it around here. That is about as quick as I think I've seen in these sort of conditions. That is very fast indeed, rapid, as Fox and Taylor take up the other 2 podium spots. And well, it is looking like a fight rather behind them. Brian asking why I have Hello Kitty thigh highs. Well, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me anyway, but I will tell you. Halloween costume.
I don't believe that.
That's what I said. That's why I prefaced it by saying you wouldn't believe me, but it is the truth. Alice Horton stays 3rd with a slight improvement, 18.051 for Horton into the 3rd place position. Oh, thigh highs for Nate. I think it's probably one of the better campaigns that I've heard in quite some time. Natalie Lee in 6th place for turn 1. Gonna try and get up the grid a little bit more, as Sarah Dove, the other pro driver, rounding out the top 5 and 5th currently. Now, whenever the qualifying timer hits 15 minutes, everybody will be on their final timed lap right about now, and all laps coming to the line will count as the AMs get released, and they will make their way through Radion and the Kimmel Straight as all the pro and silvers finish up their laps. Schmidt we documented was in pit road already. So is Natalie Fox. Horton's still out there. Taylor comes across the line. No improvement. What can Natalie Lee do? I think there might be an improvement here on the Bentley. And there is. Natalie Lee goes 5th place and flicks on the wipers. Why not? 5th place for Lee. Dove back to 6th. Carlsvard going to be 8th. And one is the loneliest number that there ever was, and that's Alice Horton, who is the final silver car out there, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, Stewie's absolutely correct. Cami Sturch is out there as well in the 5, a few turns behind. Very well spotted there. I didn't even see the 5 there. Haven't even noticed Sturch was even here today until just now. What does Alice Horton have? Can this potentially take them to 2nd or higher? We're going to see across the line this time, and it is not an improvement. 0.2 slower than their fastest lap, and that will be the end of their qualifying. Cami Sturch all the way in 12th place at the bottom of the silver pile. The sister car for Team Fordzilla, and the one in the silver class coming into the chicane now. What can they do? Can they get lifted up from the bottom spot? Oh, a little bit of sideways action there, trying to get all the power out of the chicane, and they do, into 11th place, and that is where all of your silver and pro drivers will start for the day. And now here come the AMs. Rangsetter getting their first lap underway. Now, maybe right on board here and see the differences between some of the silver and pros versus the AM. Not a lot of curb on the inside, a little bit more reserved, in my opinion, up Eau Rouge and Radion.
This is a corner where you can lose a lot of time.
You can indeed, and I promise you that Rangsetter is not bending time and space. Just a little hiccup there. Everything appears to be all good now. Keeping it tight to the apexes here. That's not always the best decision around Spa, and that was something I had to learn the hard way. Sometimes it's better to take a middle of the corner approach, but doing well, staying well within the lines. It's obviously here looks like attempting to just get a good lap in. It's looking like it's going to be a decent lap. Bit wide there, but again, this is what you expect from the AM class. This is sort of what the difference between the Pro and Silver and the AM is, and sort of a physical manifestation of hitting the turns right. But of course, don't just hinge on the one lap here. Get as many as you can do in 15 minutes. Very tight through Blochemann. And finally, the chicane. Let's see how it goes. Middle of the road approach here. And all in all, a conservative but decent lap to set the pace. What will it be? It's going to be a 22.297 for Hedda Rangsetter for the Turn 1 Diamonds. Bentley, what can Witcher do coming to the line? Witcher will have an invalidated lap, I'm pretty sure. And Nate for thigh highs, less than 3. I love it, McKeehan. I love it. And McKeehan goes third. Plo is now second in AM in the 333 AMG. Oh, I love the thigh highs. I love it so much. Commentator curse cupcake racing. Now, Was that you or me that cursed Sarah Fair last
It
week,
was
Nate? I don't
definitely me
remember.
at Nürburgring. I literally
I,
had not even finished saying, "Oh, the cupcake car is through okay," and as I was midway through that, she got sideswiped by a Bentley.
well, Sarah Fair in the cupcake car is second quickest right now. Ranksetter's lap is proving to be a fairly blistering one for AM right now, as Robertson goes to second place in AM. What can Fury April do for Swift Sharks in the hashtag thigh highs for day? Oh my goodness, they've all done it. They've all, see, Nate, it's just that they love you so much and they want to see you in those glorious, glorious thigh highs. Well, Fury April, as we have come to expect, has put their car not only pole and am, but halfway up the silver class as well into seventh place. Annalisa Riot is going to go 19th overall for the Lesbians R Us Ferrari.
Here's the question, though, Jesse: do we think Fury April can go any faster than what they've gone?
Yes. But that's always my answer with April is the answer is yes. Yes, they can, and they probably will. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a top 5 time out of the AMG today.
You like the top 5, don't you? That's your happy zone, number 5, I've noticed.
I think for April, it's what they can do is around top 5, and I think it's the same thing with a couple of the AMs as well. I feel like they can put it inside the top 5. And April, of course, April, of course, being the only AM to finish on the podium overall. It doesn't pay anything, but it's sort of a badge of honor. So top 5 not out of the question overall. So we will see.
I feel like Fury still has, still, I feel like Fury has a very good chance to get another overall podium today, given the fact that most of our pro field is not currently here, and they're very good at keeping their nose clean and just avoiding incidents around them and just slowly picking their way through the grid up into surprise positions. So I think I'm going to go an 80% chance Fury April pulls an overall podium today.
Fury April coming to the line. We'll see how they improve. I think they will do, but just how much will they is the question. And 6th place for April. One spot short of where I reckon they could be, but they're going to continue. Got some newcomers in chat joining us for the finale. Welcome along, and asking what is the sort of format for the race. Well, it is a 1-hour race, 3 different categories, Pro Am and Silver, and the restrictions for the race are very simple. You cannot have a he, him pronoun to be in this race. You may have a them, they, she, and non-binary pronoun here. And that is the limitation for this Diamond Drive Cup. And, well, the Diamond Drive Cup will be back for season 2 with much of the same, though Mike Jones, Nate, loves to throw little sort of curveballs in there. And I'm curious if maybe season 2 might have a bit of a curveball, as Ranksetter goes, I think that was more than half a second quicker than their previous time. A 20.9 is what Ranksetter improves to, holding on to the second place. Delcina, third in AM. What can Mikey Plolt do? And no improvement, as far as I'm aware, but improvement on the timing sheet anyway, at 23.385.
But yeah, just jumping back to you speaking about curveballs. I think the only curveball that Mike Jones has thrown for season 2 is the fact that he's picked Paul Ricard for no other reason I can imagine, other than he really, really doesn't want people to have a fun time.
Mike Jones is having the most fun when nobody else is having fun, and I think that's sort of sort of what I get out of him. He wants to have fun, and he has fun by making everybody else not have fun. But oh my goodness, can you imagine the amount of passing down the back straight of Paul Ricard we are going to see? Absolutely incredible stuff. As Delcina hanging on to third place in AM. What can they do? Potentially trouble Rangsetter, perhaps? Not quite, as they go just 2/10 slower on that lap. Less than 5 minutes to go in qualifying. I have noticed, Nate, Witcher and Reyna have not set a valid time, and I've not seen Reyna on track, but I did see Witcher. Witcher's been out there this entire time, and they have failed to set a valid lap time. So you could only assume that the number 12 has had issues with getting their lap invalidated.
They're on a valid lap now, though, and Reyna, just as you were saying, you hadn't seen her, was coming around the first corner. So they're both on valid laps as it stands. So for Witcher, just a couple more corners to go. So now coming around just bus stop to nail, and then there's a lot of time to be gained and lost here. If you miss your brakes, you end up going a little bit too deep, and you just lose seconds. It's not tenths, it's seconds if you go deep into bus stop. So it seems like she's got that all sorted out to cross the line for her first valid lap.
And straight to fourth.
Fourth in class, 16th overall. That's pretty good. So now the pressure is off her to set a lap. So all we need to do now is see, hopefully, fingers crossed, Reyna set a lap and all 25 of our drivers would have set a valid lap.
Well, Lillian Spark coming to the line. What can the Sparks Racing driver do? In 23rd currently in the McLaren. And they will improve their lap time, but not their position. A 26.121, the quickest lap time for them. Deb Lab coming to the line, and pretty much the same thing, improving their time, but not their position at a 22. Anna Delcina looks like they're on it here, trying to get the second place or more out of their time. Charlotte Robertson comes to the line, does improve to 16th at 21.573. What can Anna Delcina do in the Swift Sharks team? A good improvement, a 21.099, but not quite enough to dethrone Rangsetter from second place. So they stay third. Here is Sketch Reyna for Gayzilla for Nate's Thigh Highs. I love it. I love the names. I absolutely adore everyone in this race. Oh, it's so good. I love this community. It's easy to do this in the comm box whenever we're all on the same page, and even all the drivers today are on the same page as we go from one to another. McKeehan's Nate for Thigh Highs less than 3. Coming to the line, 25th, currently dead last. Where will they get up to?
Small improvement, but an improvement nonetheless.
Improvement. Indeed, a 27.051. At a rank setter coming to the line, do we see an improvement from them? No, we do not. That lap several tenths slower than their 20.586, but they still are a bit clear of everybody in second place. April has gone no quicker in 6th place, leading all the AMs. And, it is a good question. Why is Fury April an AM? Well, it's based on their pace and ability of where they were at the beginning of the season, but they have proven themselves to be absolutely dominant in the AM class, and they will be the AM champion. But you got to think next season, it's going to be interesting, Nate. We talked about this last week as well, could Fury April bump all the way from AM to Pro based on one good season, or would you like to see them in silver next year?
No, I'd like to see them in Pro. I think purely from a spectator and a competitive standpoint, seeing Fury April in Pro makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you look at their times now, I mean, they're all constantly mixing it. Every race we've seen in the top sort of, 7 or 8. I mean, obviously this time it's top 6. But even on tracks that they've claimed they're weak at, we still see them mixing top fives, and finishing in the overall top 10, very much on the pace of the low end of pro. Maybe you could put them in silver, but I think they would be the high end of silver. But then saying that again, you still look at the timing board, and you've got Catherine Taylor, Natalie Lee all up there ahead of April. So maybe pro, maybe silver. I think pro would be the better one, but that's my opinion. But I definitely do not think they should be AM.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see a class change for April. I'm just very curious if it's going to be the full Vindaloo all the way to pro, or if it's going to be a bit of a Madraz and they're going to be in silver. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer to that, but I do agree with you, Nate. I think it'd be pretty fantastic to see them bumped into pro. And I mean, they're still going to wreak havoc. Keep in mind, they finished on the podium overall in pro. They probably, Fury will still wreak havoc if that change does come. Qualifying is officially over. Everybody coming to get the checkered flag here on the session. All these laps do, in fact, count. What can Mikey Plo do? Coming to the line out of 22nd place, gets 21st, and that is going to sum up qualifying here. Well, here is your starting grid for everybody. Schmidt over Fox and Horton, Taylor Lee, April, Dove, Vandenberg, Carlsvard, and Kamugli, the top 10. Johnson, Sturch, Erwin, Rangsetter, Delcina, Roberts, Witcher, Anderson, Reyna, Lab is your top 20. And folks, we will be right back. We are going to have a small change in the background here, and we will be right back to bring you the final race in the Diamond Drive Cup. Stick around. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round 6, the season finale here at the Diamond Drive Cup. I'm Jesse Lee. I'm here with hashtag thigh highs for Nate, and now we have Jake doing the broadcasting with us. And just right before we go green here for the last race of the season, let's take a look at the championship standings. We'll start with the pro category. And here you see Felipe Bokita leading this championship, will win the Pro Series category. They're not here today, but that doesn't matter. They have gapped the field in such a way that no matter what, they will still be Pro Series champion over Sarah Dove. And Rose in third place, also not here, nor is Gobi. But Schmidt in fifth place is. Schmidt actually might be able to take fourth place overall from Gobi, but we will have to see. Vicky Thompson and Mia Rose have signed out of the championship and are no longer taking part in the standings. Moving on to silver, Nicole Fox has been dominant all season, beating Catherine Taylor. That will likely not change, as Fox will probably be crowned silver champion. And Alice Horton in the third place position, also on an island by themselves. Sophie Erwin fourth, Cami Sturch in fifth. This is where it all gets very interesting between Erwin Sturch, Natalie Lee, and maybe even Jenny Kamugli back in the seventh place position. Behind them, Carlsvard, Vandenberg, Sarah Johnson, Charlie Martin, Sarah Moore. Josie Austin is signed out for the championship, and Sarah Savage not here as well. A lot of places in the middle of the silver field up for grabs today. Moving on to the AM field. Well, we talked about it in qualifying. Fury April has destroyed AM this season. And, well, there is no way that Fury April can be caught. Selena Witcher has done a darn good job this season, all things considered, and will likely be your second place finisher in AM. And Sketch Reyna will almost certainly fill out the third place position unless something massive happens today. Sarah O'Brien in fourth place, who I didn't see in qualifying, so I don't know if Sarah O'Brien's here. And Verena Mee in fifth place rounds out the top five. Rangsetter in sixth place. Edwards and Delsina all in a fight with Anderson in the top nine, and then Sarah Fair is your 10th place right now. Behind them, of course, you have this whole thing, everybody fighting for outside the top 10 spots, but this could be a massive shuffle today. Deb Lab, Riot, Robertson, Plout, Spark, McKeehan are the others that are in the race today. I don't think David's Maurer are in the race today. Well, that is the championship points as they stand here for the final round of the championship. Well, what did that, the shorthand of all that is, the champions have already been decided today, but in a couple of classes, second place isn't, and definitely the top fives are very much up for grabs. And in the case of AM, way down into the bottom half of the top 10, everybody is fighting for championship points and final jockeying for position. Well, Nate, 1 hour, 30 minutes, the final time for today's race, this being a little bit longer as it is a season finale. That's becoming a bit of a RCI tradition for the last race to be a bit longer than the rest of them. But 1 hour and a half. Who, if you had to put your money on somebody, who would you put your money on in AM today? I'm assuming Fury April.
I think you'd be a bit of a fool not to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, they are how many positions ahead of the closest AM driver? Is that 8 positions ahead of them? There's no way you could put money anywhere other than on Fury April for class win.
All right, well, what about silver?
Silver? See, silver's a bit more tricky one. Can I have more than one? Can I cheat?
Go on, then. As it's the last race of the season, go on.
Okay, well, I would pick either Nicole Fox, Alice Horton, or Catherine Taylor.
Oh, how original. You're going to pick the top 3. That's great. I don't know what else to say to you on that one.
No, if I had to pick one, I would go with Fox, because over the season they've definitely had some really strong standout performances, and they're very, very consistently near the front, often scrapping for the final pieces. If there's an instant with the front running drivers of normally when we see them together, be it Schmidt, Rose, and Bokita. So yeah, my money would be on Fox for silver, and April for Am.
Well, I find it almost impossible to root against Schmidt today. By far the quickest pro driver, and I don't see that changing, but we have seen the pro drivers get into a spot of trouble late into races, so we will have to pay attention to that very much as well as we get ready to take the green flag. And I hope the drivers are listening, or they have somebody in our chat that can tell them, I am calling on all of you to drive completely sensibly on this first lap. You can race on lap 2, but I need you to get me hashtag Nate and thigh highs. I need it. I didn't know I needed it before today, but I definitely do need it, as everybody does come to what would normally be the start finish line, but I believe we use the GT starting line.
We do, yeah.
This race.
So it's not the F1 line, not that one there.
As 25 drivers here for the series finale, 2 of them in pro, and then about 10 in silver, and about 12 to 15 in AM. Final turn. Everybody going to line up 2 by 2, about 12 rows deep, running down the hill into Eau Rouge and Radion. Very dangerous indeed. And in 2 minutes' time, we will know if Nate is going to have to wear thigh highs for the opening of season 2 here on RCI. As the green flag goes down, the lights come off, and we are racing here for Diamond Drive Cup, the final race, and a bit of a touch there between Horton and Fox. No damage incurred, and the position still with Fox for the time being. Or excuse me, not Fox, that's Schmidt and Fox going at it, or Schmidt and Horton going at it. Fox is leading everybody now.
I think I've been more anxious and more nervous for a race start than I have for this one, but it's incredible to see Fox that already in the lead. I'm guessing Schmidt didn't have the best start going up Eau Rouge, as we see Schmidt attempting to come back, but it's not quite going to happen. So it'd be interesting to see now how Schmidt plays this.
Well, Fox has the position, an excellent start to the race, but slipping in there is Schmidt with a little bit of body contact, and that will not be appreciated by Fox, but the lead has been retaken by Schmidt for Team Fordzilla, and all of a sudden the top couple of steps are completely shuffled up. Taylor up to 3rd, Horton down to 4th place, and Fury April, who qualified 6th, is now inside the top 5 with the Swift Sharks team. And I believe there has been a kerfuffle at the back of this pack between the 292 and the 12, because they are languishing a little bit behind, and talked about it a little bit in qualifying. We'll talk about it again. It's very easy here at Spa to get those track limits warnings. You get too many of those, you get a drive-through penalty, and fighting hard here on the start is an easy way to get it. So yes, something indeed happening between Witcher and the 192. We'll have to see if that disqualifies the thigh highs or not, because otherwise there have been a couple of moves, but nothing to cause a yellow sector. We'll have to see how the Diamond Drive Cup rules that. Oh no, there it is, Delcina. Oh, who is that with? Is that? Let's see this again.
I think maybe she just got loose on her own.
Yeah, oh, you absolutely called it, Nate. Delcina's going to lose it. So easy to do that, going over the curbs, even in the dry. And another one, almost as if there's oil on the track, but there's not, we can assure you. 3 cars, several cars on, you know what that is, Nate? That's low air pressure.
That's it's odd though that it was only the cars that were floating around in free air that had
Oh
the incident.
no! Witcher's lost it again.
I think there's a fundamental issue with the setup of that Bentley that's not lending itself to a full fuel run.
Well, every car here will have to be on a full fuel run, unlike in some, most of the races this season. The 1 hour, 30-minute race will require you to do that. And I think with the cooler temperatures, I think maybe a lot of the tire pressures are a bit wrong. And the fuel load, like you said, Nate, is different than it would have been all season. And I think it's wreaking havoc on some of these drivers.
That is definitely different to what they had during qualifying as well, as they would have been running light
off.
fuel.
Sketch Reina's off.
There's definitely something going on with these cars, isn't there? They're not enjoying it.
So what happened to Sketch Reina? Now, this is interesting because I saw this part. So what happens after that? Or excuse me, before that. Yes, this is before that. Oh, just tries to go down into the corner. Didn't quite have a gap. Oh, that could have been mega.
That was, I think that was well avoided more than anything else. But everyone's still going relatively strong for the time being. I definitely would like to know what happened at the start of the race, purely for my own selfish needs. So I think I'll have to check in with the drivers after the race to find out what happened, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, indeed. Well, the race well and truly on here. 5 minutes gone, and a lot of questions as now the 20 has lost it. Lillian Sparks has lost it and reset to pit lane. Oh my goodness. Now what on earth? There must have been an incident before that because that did not look like they had steering.
And that was
that is
big off, wasn't it?
That was so massive to hit that wall, go all the way across the track, hit the other wall, but having the wherewithal, Lillian Sparks, to drive it off the racetrack before resetting. And once again, more chaos. The 335. The 335 off in Radion.
Yeah, Verena May, it must be these full fuel runs that they're not enjoying. These cars obviously bottoming out more than they would have anticipated.
Yeah, Nate, you have to be right. I think it is a combination of fuel. Look at this. Cars coming out of pit lane. The last thing they expect is to see a car backwards there, but well avoided indeed. But yeah, I think it is to do with that. It's some combination of the two, and it has caught no fewer than 8 teams out here early in this race. Well, it's not caught Schmidt out for Team Fordzilla in the 74 Aston. Lost the lead on the initial start to Fox, but took it back and has created a gap just about 2 seconds. Schmidt over Fox, as Taylor may be sort of closing in on Fox a little bit for second place. Horton back to 4th on the start, but Horton is right behind Taylor, trying to take over the final podium spot again. And of course, April in the 5th place position. Sarah Dove in 8th. And in between them is Lee and Kamugli. So Fury April's went up to 3rd. What has happened? Did Taylor and Horton have a connection?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to scan through to figure out what's happening. But yeah, I just can't tell. It's chaos out there at the moment.
So let's see. Horton is coming up on... Oh, yes, it is. It is the 13 and the 25 coming together, and that is going to allow Fury April, the AM driver, to get up onto the overall podium shades of the first round in this championship at Alton Park when the same thing happened.
Yeah, I called it though, didn't I? I said Fury April has a very good chance to catch an overall podium, and I know we're early doors, but they're currently in a podium position.
Now, I don't know if Sketch Reyna had another issue in the Gayzilla for Nate's Thigh High's car. I believe, yep, and this is going to be another issue for Sketch Reyna. Eau Rouge, and just loses it, and Eau Rouge going up to Radion. No damage there, but just another spin. That is some sort of setup issue, I think we can confirm at this point, because it isn't affecting everybody, but you'd have to assume that all these teams know about what tire pressure they need, and something has gone wrong with that in the fuel load, or maybe the cars are just too low to the ground. It's all just speculation, but it's definitely setup based.
Yeah, I think it's also it's a skill you learn how to take Eau Rouge in the proper way without causing yourself trouble. I'm not clean of doing that. I remember I did a 12-hour endurance event with some friends, and I think that we were 18 minutes from the end, and I threw it up the hill, lost it in exactly the same way that Sketch did, and put it in the barrier and lost us a handful of positions. But over time, you just learn how to get up there, like which line to take and how much throttle, because you have to come off the throttle when you're on a full tank, but you can't come, as we see. This is going to be a touch.
Spin. Oh no, Kemi starts going for the pass on Karlsvard. Karlsvard making the late entry to the corner. Sturch got there, and well, Sturch was in a bad position there because Kemi already put their nose there, and all of a sudden Karlsvard wanted to occupy that space, and that's not, you can't go anywhere. There's a wall there, and that's only going to lead to contact between the two of them, but they get it settled and continue on.
Yeah.
Verena May in 20th place, and now Annalisa Riot, who is under fire, or excuse me, putting Roberts under fire, I should say. Robert's son, excuse me. It's just we have a Tom Roberts here at RCI, and I want to call everybody Roberts. Oh, and Anna Delsina in the 76 has had a massive contact in Radion.
Or is it just going to be a case of catching the inside curb, though? Is that what we're about to see?
I fear we're about to see the same thing we've seen several times, getting to the middle of Eau Rouge and just losing it.
Such a shame. It's like I said, it's so difficult to gauge. You only have to be marginally too far one way or the other, and it puts you in such a bad position. But as we saw, it wasn't the curve that time, as we see Sophie Erwin in the barriers there.
Well, did Delsina just leave? Is that what I just heard?
No, Sophie Erwin left, I believe.
Sophie Erwin left. Yes, I saw Erwin down in 25th or 26th, somewhere in there. And, of course, the crash is not helping them. Being told by several people that it is not set up. They don't think it's set up or air pressure that's causing them to get loose and lose it like that. So that's very interesting. And also, bad news for you, Nate. I think the RCI admins have deemed that race start to be clean, but it wasn't, though, because not everybody made it through the first lap without an incident. So I'm going to say you're clear on this one.
I have a rebuttal.
Much to my physical pain, I don't think they all made it. So I don't think there is going to be hashtag thigh highs for Nate.
There is in chat, courtesy of Owen 0501, Witcher got punted on lap 1, thus confirming not a clean first lap.
Yeah, I hate to admit it. but I think they're right. I think you're right. It was not a clean first lap. They got most of the way around, and well, just did not quite make it to the line. We will. What's that old Call of Duty thing? Mission failed. Get them next time. I think it's what we're gonna have to do.
I'm sure the DDC drivers won't let me let this go. I'm sure there'll be a something in the after race briefing that says they're gonna try and get me to go for it again.
The drivers. What are you talking about? I'm not gonna let it go. Are you kidding me? There's only one way this ends, and this is Nate wearing some sort of socks.
Maybe we'll make a new bet for the first round of season 2, but
there you go.
I make no names on what that bet is yet. We'll have to wait and see.
Now, I don't own a skirt, but
Jesse, you're lying. Don't lie to our friends in the audience.
No, I don't. I don't own a skirt. But
he does own a skirt. I've seen it.
I'm pretty sure I could find one. They're still making them. And if we make it through Diamond Drive Season 2 Race 1, Lap 1 clean, I'd put on a skirt.
Right. Well, we're not on Twitch. I would have told someone to clip it if they could have done. But it's fine.
It's recorded. It's gonna be there. I'm not gonna back out. These colors don't run, and in my case, I'm hoping for perhaps a plaid skirt. Anyway, moving on. Ranksetter in 10th place. Whoa, a little bit loose through Radion, but saves it all the same, but will lose a position to Taylor. Taylor, of course, was caught up in an incident a few laps ago with the 25. Of course, Horton up into the 4th place position, and Taylor rebounding into 10th place now. Ranksetter down to 11th.
Yeah, obviously Taylor's unfortunate contact with Horton earlier on has dropped them a bit out of position. So it'll be interesting. This will be one to watch. The fight back through the field to try and regain positions as we see the lights on from Fury April through lap traffic. Desperately trying to stay ahead of Horton now.
I do very much apologize if you can hear the U.S. military in my microphone. They do make a habit of flying over my home very low and fast, and do apologize if you can hear that. But what's interesting here is we have Schmidt, who's a pro, leading. We have Fox, who is second in silver, leading silver, and we have Fury April, who is third, who is leading AM. So we have all 3 categories represented in the overall podium, but this is a big old fight here. It's going to come to a bump. Horton with a bump there. I believe that's a lap car they just bumped out of the way.
Yeah, that would be Sparks in the McLaren, unfortunately, after their big accident, a lap or 2 down now from recovering from all the damage that they had.
That was what we call an unceremonious punt. Oh, trying to go the long way is Yvonne Vandenberg on Johnson to try and get the 12th place position. Ran out of racetrack and room, but maybe if they can get alongside them, is this going to be a position yielded? I think it is. Johnson just letting Vandenberg have it. Nothing wrong with that early in a race. Nothing wrong with that. Know your pace. Know that, oh, this person caught me. Just let them go. We'll maybe get you back after the pit stop later, as Alice Horton continues fighting for 4th place with Natalie Lee.
It's yeah, like you said, it's definitely in the long run it pays off just to let the car go. If you know it's not your fight, if it's not your battle, then just let them pass, because you'll both lose more time holding each other up, defending the position, than you would if you just allowed them pass. And then some of the time, if you stick with them, they can actually gain you a couple tenths a lap, and they pull you ever so slightly to the cars ahead. So again, like you said, it's knowing your pace, knowing that you need to let some cars go.
Well, Sophie Erwin's joined us in chat after parking their car for the day, apologizing to us for some reason. No need to apologize to us, Sophie, but saying that they had wheel issues, which is why they were all the way in the back and then had to retire. So don't apologize to us. We are sorry to hear that very much for you, and we wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you back for season 2, and we have had a bit of that in RCI recently, not just in the Diamond Drive Cup, but in general, where I feel like, you know, a lot of people feel as Sketch Reina continuing to have issues. I feel like a lot of people think, oh, well, it's sim racing. How could there be a mechanical issue? People don't realize how intricate a racing wheel setup actually is. It's a lot of moving parts. That was Sketch Reina's incident there. You don't usually see an incident quite like that, but I think that highlights the issues that Reina's car is having currently. Well, for Sophie Erwin, it was a interesting season indeed. It's unfortunate that it ends early, though. But some things cannot be helped, and I think this is definitely one of those cases. Natalie Lee has gapped Alice Horton just a little bit. Remember, they were last time through this section, up the Kimmel Straight, they were nose to tail. Well, there is a little bit of daylight between the two of them now, so either Natalie Lee has found a little extra pace, or things got uncomfortably close between Lee and Horton. Also talked about Horton. Well, here is Catherine Taylor for Seaside 765 Racing Aston. Remember, they were involved with the incident with the 25. They got past Ringsetter for 10th place a couple laps ago. Cami Sturch in front of them, looking to get up into the 9th place position as, Sketch Reina again has had issues in Radion, and it is going to be a nightmare of a finale for Sketch Reina. But meanwhile, Catherine Taylor, this view here. By the way, we got Jake Coombs on the cameras with us now. Stewie had to go, and very stealthily, very quickly, Jake was able to come in and set up. So these camera angles now provided to you by Jake, and showing you the splitter cam. This is the splitter on the number 13 Aston, trying to get around Cami Sturch, going down to the inside. That could potentially work, but you got to hold it on the inside. Gets it done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. What will Sturch do to rebuttal? And thinks better of it. Single file through the chicane, and another position up for Catherine Taylor on their march back towards the front of the field. Well, this is the leader of the race. They weren't always the leader of the race. Fox did take the early lead, but Schmidt, of course, had retaken the lead about halfway through lap 1 and has not looked back. A massive gap Schmidt has on Fox. Fox doing well. And here is Fury April, who's not too far behind Fox for the 2nd place position. In fact, there it is. That is all that is... well, hold on a minute. That is not Fox in front of them, though I should be able to see them in the gap, but I cannot. So... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong relative is what's happening here. That's right. Fury April is nearly 10 seconds behind Fox. I was looking at the wrong relative, Nate.
I feel like that's not easily done, but I'll forgive you for your age. We'll have that one slide.
I'm a senile old man. Oh no! Oh, and another contact there. Was that Reina again?
I didn't see which car that was, unfortunately. I just quickly saw them in the barrier, unfortunately. But definitely not where you want to be.
Charlotte
No,
Robertson.
that is our flying Lexus from Barcelona, if you joined us for that event.
Oh yes, that was a lovely picture of that car going over the bump. It was a scary moment for Charlotte Robertson, I assure you, but it was a magnificent poster. Oh yeah, that is easy to do as well. You get in there, what that is getting a lot of momentum, and then it's all going one direction. You got to get it going back the other direction, and you don't do that, and you just sort of have a lazy spin. Luckily, no damage, no additional damage done other than the time loss. Well, this is the battle here for 4th place. Sarah Dove for the Let's Race But Gold. Let's Race But Gold. That's it. Couldn't read. I'm senile, Nate. I couldn't. Had to really look at the name of that team. I was like, I'm sorry. What is that? Well, for 4th place, the battle is heating up between Lee Horton and Dove, as all of these drivers and teams are nose to tail. In fact, there they are. Excellent shot there, Jake. Literally, that's all that's in it between them. If you are Sarah Dove in this situation, Nate, do you go for it, or do you just sit back and wait for something to happen?
I think I'd play the waiting game, but only based on if I was in the car, I'd be sitting there going, right, Horton's had a couple of bumps with other drivers. She may be about to have another one, at which point I can pick up the pieces and whip through. I don't want to be the driver getting bumped by this car. So, yeah, it's a strange one, but that's what I would do. But whether or not Dove decides that's what she'll do, we'll have to wait and see.
I always like being third in line, Nate. I've always liked that. If I'm fast enough to be up near the leaders, I want to be third. I want there to be somebody in second. I want them to be the one that has to make the move, and I always want to be the one to benefit whenever they do. And I believe that Dove is in that right now. Of course, if Dove gets the opportunity to pass Horton, they're going to do it, obviously. But if Horton caught Lee again after the incident earlier, so nothing to me says that Horton can't pass Lee. And of course, Dove does this, don't they, in races where they don't qualify particularly well, but they get up there in the end, don't they? They run very well.
Yeah, again, it's a case of it's the Fury April effect, I suppose. It's just they keep their nose out of other people's troubles and just carefully pick their way up the order. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, if you get a chance to overtake someone, you're obviously going to take it. No one is going to sit there and go, oh, well, actually, I could have passed you, but I decided to wait behind you. You know, the only time people will do that is if you have the chance and it quickly becomes not a chance and you go, well, actually, I want to preserve my car. I don't feel like getting it pinched up against the wall. So as we see now, a little bit too far back to get the run into Lake Hom. So Dove will have to think about where she's going to make her move around the lap. Or, again, wait for potentially Horton to catch back up to Lee and see if they have a little coming together.
Everybody continuing to pace themselves, and in a situation like this, you're waiting for somebody to make a mistake, and it doesn't have to be a big one, just a little one, like I believe I don't know. That's not May in front of them. Don't know. It must be a lapped car, but I can't tell you exactly which one it is. But either way, you don't have to make a big mistake here. You just got to make a small one, and you make a small mistake, and the door becomes open when it was otherwise shut. But no mistakes happening between these three as they continue to pound around the track in line of stern, and nobody coming off the racing line. You notice that too. Everybody they're driving in each other's wheel marks or tire tracks, because that's you don't want to make a mistake. But there it is, the tiny mistake. The tiny mistake has been made for Natalie Lee. The door thrust open, and Horton is going to go through. We'll have to see if Dove can do anything about this as they continue side by side, and easy peasy for Alice Horton to get through. And then all of a sudden it becomes Dove. Can Dove do anything around the outside? A little bit of a squeeze. Down on the apex goes Lee, and no boo for Dove as Alice Horton continues out of shot. And look at the pace difference there.
Yeah, we saw obviously the mistake coming out from Lee, which allowed Horton to get the run on them, and then just had to back out of it for the corner. And then obviously that gave the speed advantage to Dove, who didn't need to back out or to lift off the throttle, and then just tucked right up behind them. I thought Dove might pull out and be late on the brakes for bus stop, but unfortunately we didn't quite see that. So now we have to sit back and wait and see where Dove will continue planning her attack for the car ahead of her.
Yeah, Dove still has it all to do now, and it's very important that they are able to get this pass done at some point. Now, actually, well, for Dove, I don't really know where their head is at right now. I mean, they're not really racing for anything as far as the championship goes, but it's still a race. You still want every position you can get. And you know that no matter what happens today, you're probably not going to get up there and battle Schmidt. So perhaps that makes them a bit more patient than they otherwise would have been.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly, because you always want to just be as high up as you can, regardless of, what's going on. So it's, I don't like to put speculation on it as much as you do. I know that's your specialty, but
Yeah.
everyone wants to win at the end of the day, don't they? And if you can't win, you want to be as close to the first step as you can. So I don't think anyone is holding back per se, as we see Catherine
Taylor licking the
miss her
stamp
braking
and
zone.
sending it. I thought we were going to have a GTR Aston baby is what I thought we were going to have there. But no, I do love that. I love speculation. I love wondering what drivers are thinking, because there's as many personalities as there are driving styles, and that's part of what makes it interesting for me, is sort of not knowing but wondering, what are they thinking? What are they going to do? Well, I can tell you what Alice Horton's thinking. They're thinking they're 2 seconds away from getting back on the overall podium is what they are thinking, as this is Fury April's wing on their 717 Swift Sharks AMG. That is Alice Horton right there coming up Eau Rouge in the white Aston, and that is all that's in it for third place. And I don't think Horton's going to have too much trouble getting that spot away from April.
I feel she might. I feel we've seen Fury come up to, have battles for position. And while, yes, I feel the position will be lost, April won't give it up without a good fight for a couple of laps.
Now, that's very interesting indeed. If April fights the position, speaking of fighting, ranks that are fighting their way back up through the field, or attempting to anyway. And so is Celine Witcher, who was one of the first cars off early in this race. Several cars have taken their pit stop, by the way. Johnson, Robertson, Delcina, Plo, Lab, McKeehan, and Sparks Sparks hasn't, now that I just noticed that, but all the other ones have taken their pit stop. They've taken it incredibly early. I don't know. I feel like a lot of their strategy was based on them having to pit anyway for repairs and such. If you were a top 10 driver, where would you pit, Nate? I'd suspect right around halfway, right? About 45 minutes to go?
Yeah, I definitely try and make it halfway. That's where I normally aim to go for any event that I do. I always try to make it to the halfway point, and then it's, 50-50 on a set of tires, or, 2 sets of tires. But I normally end up going a little bit longer than I otherwise plan, because I normally accidentally overfuel the car. So I try to run the fuel down to as low as I, well, feel comfortable I can without running out of fuel, for fear of making a mistake and being stuck meters from the the pit lane. But yeah, so normally I aim for halfway, always aim for halfway, but I tend to overshoot it by some margin. So for me now, I'd probably try and go maybe an hour into the race and have the last half an hour on fresh tires and lower fuel.
Well, there you have it. Strategy by Nate. And I can't say that I disagree, as Horton now just about 1 second. They gained nearly an entire second on that last lap. That is sort of the pace difference between April and Horton for third place. Meanwhile, Kamugli and Taylor now fighting for the 7th place position. Love to see a GTR. Ginny Kamugli has done well, in my opinion, in that GTR with some fairly, I wouldn't say terrible BOP, but it's not complimentary, that BOP for that GTR. But they've done very well running it up inside the top 10 more often than not this season. And folks, that is no small accomplishment.
No, it's that rapid straight line speed. That car is a missile in the straights. I'm not quite sure how or why, because it's built like a shed, but it just seems to be able to power its way along any straight and just keep itself out of trouble from cars behind for the most part. But in the corners, as we see, it's not quite as agile, and other cars that are maybe a little bit more aerodynamic, a little bit more sleek, will catch it and potentially pass it.
You just blew my mind. You said it was built like a shed. No wonder Jimmy Broadbent loves that car.
He's got a couple of them now, doesn't he?
I believe so, but he anytime he races ACC, he loves to drive the big GTR.
Mintzilla.
And I've always wondered, yeah, Mintzilla, and I've always wondered why. It's like, why? I get it. It's a bit of a meme car, and he does well with it, to be fair, but it's very, very interesting. But yeah, it's built like a shed, home sweet shed, and all that for him. So it actually makes perfect sense. Well, here's the other upside of the GTR. It's a big car and it's hard to get around.
Yeah, you could definitely make that car a little bit wider than the other cars and make the back end of it a bit like a donkey. But as we see Taylor closing up really, really well, the brakes on the acid very strong. As we see that sausage curb,
so scary.
You tend to ride on top of it, and at that point you sort of lose traction on, well, whichever wheel you've popped up, and it definitely unsettles the car as we go up El Rouge. What a fantastic angle, as we see Kamugli getting a little bit out of shape, but not enough to make a difference. But now we've got the rundown in a slipstream, so now can Taylor maybe get close enough to make a move into Les Combes, shows the nose just to say I'm here, maybe psych Kamugli out into missing her brakes, but unfortunately not today. Kamugli holds her nerve and stays ahead.
Well, earlier we mentioned that drive-through penalties could be a problem here today. No live stewarding for the Diamond Drive Cup Season 1, but ACC will still give you penalties if you run afoul of the rules of the racetrack. Well, Sarah Dove has done just that for the 177 Lamborghini and has been given a drive-through penalty. And the reason I brought that up earlier is because we saw a lot of drivers doing just that, running a bit wide, trying to get the best run out of corners. And, well, in an hour and a half race, they add up quick, Nate, and Sarah Dove, the first to get bit by it.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I can almost guarantee that'll be coming over the top of El Rouge, because if you just run too far to the left, it's just an instant track limit warning. And obviously, you only need to do it, well, 3 times for your maximum, and the 4th time's the penalty. And unfortunately, that's potentially what we've seen. Again, it could even be there on just on the exit of Stavelot, where you don't even have to go too far out there. You could literally just dip 2 wheels over the line, and the game will heavily penalize for you. But I don't know if you saw the 24 Hours of Spa last year, but they were definitely going a lot further out than what we're allowed to here.
Yeah, and this could be potentially the pass here between the GTR is going to hit the sausage curb. Kamugli is going to save it, but Taylor is going to get through. Count Taylor up into 7th place, Kamugli down to 8th, and perhaps a rebuttal here down into the hairpin. Nope, not going to happen. Taylor up another position as Sarah Dove comes in immediately to serve that drive-through penalty. And Fury April's had an incident at the top of Radion.
Oh, what's going to happen here? What are we going to see? Curb or just the rear end being unsettled?
Oh, curb. Oh, huge contact. Fury April, your AM champion, hard into the wall at the top of Radion after collecting the curb. Massive damage.
Oh. Apologies.
Oh, Fury April has got the car going the right way. They're taking every escape road. And the Swift Sharks hashtag thigh highs for Nate 717 AMG. Oh my goodness. I've seen beer cans that weren't that crunched. That thing is demolished.
Yeah, that's what we've nicknamed as the meatball, because you get the black and orange flag and it looks like a meatball. So that'll be a long, painful trip back to pit lane, trying to keep it, well, in a straight line is going to be the hardest part. But yeah, so unfortunate. It's one small incident. April driven so well for the first 17 laps, and then unfortunately one instant and it's all undone.
So what is this going to do for the race for the AM win today? April still got a half of a lap to get back to pit lane. I don't know if they're parking it or just driving off the track on purpose, but that is going to promote Hedda Rangsetter in the 818 Turn 1 Diamonds Bentley to the point in AM. And if April is unable to recover in the final 50 minutes of this race, this will be the first race that April hasn't won in AM, I'm pretty sure.
It will be, yeah. They've won all 5 of their outings so far, as you've mentioned. So yeah, where is Rangsetter there? That's, yeah, I don't think Fury April will lead or win the AM category today. There's going to be a lot of time spent in the pits for the repairs on that car.
Well, the only championship leading or winning driver today that has been problem free is actually the one in the pit lane right now, Nicole Fox, in the 202 Next Round Racing Audi. Fox, of course, led the first half of the first lap before being passed by Schmidt. They're coming in to do their penalty, or not the penalty, their pit stop, I should say. Ginny Kamugli, though, does have a drive-through penalty for track limits. So their day is going to come undone. That'll bump them out of the top 10. And, of course, they still have to do their mandatory pit stop. You can't do the drive-through and the mandatory pit stop at the same time. You're going to have to come back down pit road. And it's basically 2 pit lanes in one. And that is not fun for anybody. Well, it is all coming undone. But like I was saying, the only champion here that has not had issues or there's not been any dramas or we haven't really talked about was Natalie Fox. And Fox is the last one to have a clean race here or nothing to go wrong. Of course, we talked about Felipe Bokita, who elected not to race today, will still be the champion of the pro category. But you just hate that for April. When you think about it, you just hate it because they were nearly perfect on the season. They were running inside top 5. They were on the podium at the time, the overall podium, that is, and it is all going to come undone for them here today. But if you are Hedda Rangsetter, this could be a much-deserved win in a season where they've done just a ton of chasing.
Yeah, it is much deserved, I think, because Rangset has always sort of been there or thereabouts for events, and I think they've been unlucky in previous events to be out of contention through no fault of their own. And now, obviously, with April's problems, it's opened up the Anfield, really, hasn't it? So we could see multiple different, first-time podium steppers for anyone here or anyone currently ahead of April. But there is also the potential for anyone behind her. I mean, Sarah Fair has made their pit stop. Where are they on the track right now? They're ahead of April, so we could see anyone on the podium. It's completely mixed it up.
Sarah Fair out of pit road. Here is Fury. April coming out of pit lane after serving their mandatory stop and repairing the damage to the 717 AMG.
And they're a lap down.
Yeah. That is just a massive amount of damage that needed to be fixed just to get that car to drive right. Well, they are back out there all the way down in 17th. We're third before the incident, 17th now. And 7th in class. I don't think they've ever been 7th in AM class.
I think the only time they've been 7th was when they were 7th overall. That's going to be, especially being this far down, being down in 17th overall, and like you said, 7th in class, that's going to feel very, very unfamiliar to them.
Well, somebody just fell back behind them, so they're actually 6th in class now, but
Woo-hoo.
even still, that's 6th place for somebody that's not lost a race, let alone finished off the podium. But there's still 45 minutes, and you never know and how sweet a recovery it would be just to get back to your class's podium. And I think that whole incident this whole season to me has illustrated one of the greatest truths in sim racing. No matter how good you are, no matter where you are, no matter how out front you are, nobody is safe from the unknown in an unexpected accident. I think we've seen that all season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been completely unpredictable. I mean, after the first race, we sort of had our predictions of who would land where, who would do what, but it's been completely turned on its head. And like I said, no one is safe from accidents, from incidents. I mean, we've seen races won and lost in the final few minutes because of back markers or incidents on their own. So, yeah, I agree. No one is safe.
We talked to Ador Rose after race 1 that they were so dominant in at Oulton Park. They said they reckoned they could win every round. Who would have believed they wouldn't have won a single round after that? And it was absolutely crazy. Well, here we are, the final round. There's not a fight going on for Pro, but AM is absolutely turned on its head here for the final round. We're halfway through today's race. Pit stops continuing. Horton, Carlsbad, Vandenberg in pit lane. Riot exiting pit lane, and so is our leader Schmidt for in the 74. Aston for Team Fordzilla in the pit lane. Witcher also coming down pit lane. Halfway through the final race, we would just like to thank everybody for being a part of the broadcast today and being with us all season long here at the Diamond Drive Cup. It has been an absolute honor and a privilege to bring this series of races with you. Nate and I have had an absolute boatload of fun, and we look very much forward to season 2 in the near future. But you don't have to sit and watch it. You can get involved. No matter what your skill level, RCI has a race group and class for you. Join our Discord, get involved, get into the race. We would love to see you out there. And of course, a big thank you to everybody out there who is watching. Why not like and subscribe for more GT racing content? We'll be back with you on Friday for the conclusion of the GT3 World Championship. Ryan Gill and myself bringing you that series finale. And we'll be back with you Saturday for qualifying for Monza. And of course, Night Owl later in the evening. So like and subscribe, hit that bell, and don't miss a single race. And of course, a big thank you to all the partners at RCI to help us bring these races to you. Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface, Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP. Thank you guys for all that you do. And you can find all of their information in the description. And just over halfway in the Diamond Drive Cup Series finale. And well, it's starting to hit me, Nate, that this is the end. And I don't think we knew what to expect when the season started, but I still don't know what to expect as Nicole Fox trying to get around Kamugli. Of course, Kamugli hasn't pitted, and Fox has. Fox is going to try to go around the outside. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Pinch move doesn't work, but the crossover down to the inside, this is going to end up in a 2-wide situation. But I don't think Nicole Fox wants to do that in the next round racing Audi. But Nate, like I was saying, I don't think we knew what to expect when the season started. I don't think we still know what to expect, but it has been a fun ride.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first round at Alton Park was my first time commentating an event, period. I'd never done it before. And then to go from where I was then to here now, it's been an amazing journey, and we've met some really fun and crazy people. I don't know about you, but I definitely would consider them crazier than most. And it's been, like you said, it's been fantastic, and the racing has been exciting. It's been not always the cleanest, but it's definitely been eventful. It's been action-packed, and I, for one, have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know the majority of the drivers in this championship. I knew a couple of them, of course, from some of the big events that we do with multiple teammates and all that. But for the vast majority, I didn't know most of these drivers. I had to go into their chats and sit and talk with them because I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what their sort of game plans were, where they were mentally as far as a race goes. I had to pick their brains basically, which, by the way, I never explicitly said I was doing that. I always said that I was asked permission to ask them questions about the race. But what I was actually doing was I was trying to get a feel for how they race, because whenever you see the same people over and over, you kind of get a feel for it. But when you bring in so many new faces, especially with AM, there were drivers who started this championship who literally started sim racing around December last year. And that was impressive to me. And to get to know them and to know that we're coming back for season 2, that's awesome. I think you and I both said the same thing. It's like, if you do a season 2, we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to more of this unpredictable racing that we're seeing. Again, we thought Fury April was going to walk it, and one single accident that took all of about 15 seconds has completely turned the AM class race on its head. Although Fury is back up to 3rd, but I feel maybe too far down to catch the front of the pack.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I like about the whole thing is not knowing the fear, not the fear, the thought of not having an idea. You go into a race, and we don't know who's going to win. We have an idea that it's going to be one of a few people, but we have no idea, and that is very exciting from a commentary perspective. Speaking of very exciting, Sarah Fair is 2nd in the AM class right now. And I don't know how the Commentators Curse Cupcake Racing team did that, but they must have had a very quick pit stop to jump them all the way into 2nd place. By the way, Fury April, after the AM pit stops have shaken out, they are in 3rd place, 5 seconds behind the Cupcake Racing team with Sarah Fair.
Oh, you're right. It's only 5 seconds. I completely misread that. See, your senileness, is that a word? It's a word now. Your senileness, Jesse, is passing on to me, and I do not appreciate it. But yeah, so actually, April still, well, 3rd is a podium anyway, but actually has a chance to snatch 2nd from Sarah Fair.
Yeah, there's it's such a long time to go. 37 and a half minutes. I don't know if April can get to Rangsetter. I hear Rangsetter spotters in our chat. Hello to you as well. And they're saying that this is nail biting. They have about, at the time the message was posted, they had about a 25-second gap, and they're not too sure that they can keep April behind them. I love it. This is what I love about this racing. This is what has made the Diamond Drive Cup so very interesting this season, because you have these dramas that lead into fantastic finishes. And folks, I think we're going to get another one here. We're going to go out with a bang here in Am, and we may have a very close finish. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some maths, and I'm going to figure out what April needs to do to catch Rangsetter.
Get the bingo stamps out, everyone.
Everybody, get the bingo stamps out. The free space is Jesse doing maths, but just an update on the front of the field. Schmidt is 22 and some seconds out. There is your leader in the Team Fordzilla 74 Aston. They're out of here, and unless any unfortunate events shall befall them, I don't think Fox is going to get there. But for your silver leading championship driver and the leading driver in silver, same person, it's Natalie Fox in the 202. They briefly took the lead off the start of the race in a brilliant move, but was very later in that lap, actually right around this area, set back to the second place position. But they have had a very quiet and dominant race in the second place position, and some 12 seconds behind them for second place in silver. And third overall is Alice Horton, who has done a well of a job after contact earlier with, I believe that was the 13 of Taylor, who, by the way, may be catching Horton. They have done a really good job of getting back to the third place spot. Taylor in fourth, also on the same recovery drive, though they have had a much further drive to do. Unless I'm very much mistaken, the 13 is going well. Natalie Lee in fifth place, going well as well, just one step off of the silver podium in the 19 Bentley. And there, of course, that is your top five. Of course, Carlsbad, Vandenberg, Sturch doing well in the top 10. Dove back to ninth after the drive-through penalty. And look at Rangsetter here. Oh, no, avoiding action by Rangsetter, as looks like Kamugli going back through. That is not going to help the battle between Fair and April. That will help Fair catch up a little bit. And also April, who was looming large in the rearview mirror of Sarah Fair. So we have the gold and white AMG and the pink and white Ferrari, and that's all that's in it for second.
It's going to be a close one. I'd be interested to see how this shape. Oh, get the bingo stamps out. Back markers will decide the results. But oh no, there we go. Mickey Han very politely gets out the way. As we see, Robertson seemed to be going quite slow at the start of the straight. Did they just miss the bus stop, or? Oh no!
Oh, I see.
A spin.
Oh, I hate doing that. Done that myself 100 times. I hate that. It's such a slow, poor place to spin. You just try to gas it up on the curb. And earlier, I called Lee, Nicole Lee, and I meant Natalie Lee, so very much my apologies for that. Nicole's, Natalie's, Sarah's, all sorts of names, and I'm a very simple-minded human, and sometimes make mistakes, but I very much meant to say Natalie Lee. Well, here is the pass for second in class, not fought by Sarah Fair, as Fury April goes around in grand style and gets it done. And second place, Fury April, who will now set their sights on Am leading Rangsetter, head of Rangsetter for turn one diamonds in the 818 Bentley. All that stands between April and a complete comeback after what was just a devastating moment in Radion, and 32 minutes to play, 17 seconds back. Well, if I'm Rangsetter, Nate, you're going to have to figure out how to make that Bentley really, really wide, I think.
Yeah, I think this is when you check the relative and you're like, oh no, the person that's quicker than me is behind the car. I've lost the car buffer now. You always hope when you see someone quicker stuck behind the car that's behind you, you go, yes, I hope they get held up for, 2, 3, 4 laps. And then to see them just coast up and instantly pass, you're like, oh no, I'm next. So I think not so much fear, but definitely nerves start kicking in, and I can almost guarantee you that rank setter will be constantly glancing and asking their spotter for the relative to the or the gap to from them to April.
Well, Charlotte Robertson's having what started out as a good day is now having a really bad day. It just gets into the dirt, gets into the sand, traction comes back, but there is none because your tires are dirty, and a smash into the inside wall. Charlotte Robertson day goes from good to bad in the setting sun. We didn't really mention that too much, but this race started at 8 p.m. in sim time, and now it's 9:40 p.m. It is getting darker. It's not dark yet, but the headlights are definitely appreciated, especially in some of the wooded parts of the track, I would imagine.
Yeah, the worst one is when you're coming down from No Name into Puon and the sun just is directly ahead of you, and it's like, I didn't want to see where I was going anyway. That's fine. And then suddenly the corner's upon you, and you're like, okay, I'm here now. So it plays havoc, but you sort of have enough of your senses to know how long between the last corner you were at on the throttle to the next corner to sort of not completely fly off the track into the nearest tire barrier.
Yes, indeed. I'd rather there be shadows on the track than there be sun in my eyes because I, like you, call me crazy, but I very much enjoy being able to see the apex. Well, here's your Fury April update. They were 17 seconds behind a lap ago. They are 15.7. So what does that tell you? They are gaining 1.2 seconds a lap on Hedda Ring Setter for the AM win here today.
I can't get over how much time they've made up. I'm actually very surprised.
They
lost for words.
Yeah, folks, April smashed the wall, got a meatball flag, which is a repair your car flag for the uninitiated. They drove around the track because they didn't want to get several minutes of tow controls lock stuff, but they were driving around here at geriatric speeds, which you have to do when your car's that messed up. Sat in pit lane for I don't know. Nate's now 32. That's how long they were sitting in pit road. And still came out in 6th place, drove up to 3rd, it's now taken 2nd, and still has a shot to win AM. Or win the race in AM, of course, today. They will, regardless of the result today, Fury April was almost certain to win the AM championship. They would have had to finish something ridiculous, like outside the top 10 in AM today to lose the championship, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm not even sure that, because they've won every round and everybody gets a drop round. And if the drop round was a round that you finished bad in and you won every other race, you'd still win the championship. So mathematically, I've done the maths, Nate. I don't think it's possible for April to have lost the championship today. But at this point, it's a bit of pride. If April can win could you imagine? Sorry, I'm scatter-minded now. You imagine winning every round of a championship and having to drop a win for your worst round. What a dominant performance.
Yeah, that's actually crazy to think about. It's like, oh yeah, I won all of my rounds, but one of them doesn't count. That's mind-blowing.
You basically won a race for no reason.
Essentially, yeah, like April could have just parked this and gone, yeah, I've done what I needed to do, and still end the championship with the same result.
Oh dear, we have fun here in the box, but that is the state of affairs. What is the gap now between the 818 and the 717? Gotta wait for him to trip a line. Well, Here is Rangsetter, and of course this is that the 25 or the 13?
14 seconds now with the gap.
Oh, that's a 74. That is the leader of Schmidt going through.
It's coming down. Would you say it's about a second a lap? A little bit under a second a lap?
Yeah, it's just about that. Well, I have been doing the math, and I'm still doing the math, and I'm trying to work out just when Rangsetter would be caught. But that is the leader. That is Schmidt that has lapped the AM leader. Of course, got to give your hats off to Hedda. Done such a great job this season. They were given the impossible task of matching up against April, who had just been driving outside their class, let's be honest. And I don't know how many second places Rangsetter has, but I know it's at least a couple.
Oh my god, it's dropped to 11 seconds. So Rangsetter definitely lost a fair amount of time with the lead car there, trying to get out of the way, and it's definitely compromised her, because yet she lost 3 seconds, not even over the lap, just over the sector.
I've been doing some maths.
Give us the math, Jesse.
I've been doing some math, and I believe Fury April is going to catch Rangsetter in 5 to 6 laps. So that will be roughly around the 15-minute to go mark. Anywhere between 13 to 15 minutes left at this current pace. So look for that. Go ahead and count it about 5 laps from now.
I'm like, whoa, as April gets well out of shape going over the top of her Rouge. But I'm hoping, for Rangsetter's sake, that April doesn't catch her. I feel like Rangsetter deserves this.
Well, oh yeah, that's definitely a track cut, and that's definitely a Code Brown moment as well. That was very scary.
All right, gap up to 12 seconds now. So yeah, April lost a second from that.
Yeah, so I don't think that changes the projection too much, but it'll still be around 5 laps from now whenever they get there. But nothing says Rangsetter has to lay over here. Rangsetter can get as defensive as they like and attempt to block the moves or any potential pass made, of course, as long as they do that in a safe manner. And why would you give it up if you're Hedda? I would absolutely fight tooth and nail for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would as well. I wouldn't want to give this position up. But we'll have to see what's the gap. I'm enthralled by this battle. It's so good. Where are we now? I need to wait for April to cross another timing beam. But this now, I believe, will be the battle to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Nothing going on up front earlier. We went through the top 10 and nothing really going on there. All the battles really cooled off. We thought we were going to see a Horton-Taylor fight. Well, that didn't really happen as they sort of cooled off. Something happened. I don't know if something happened to Taylor or what, but they're nearly 11 seconds off the pace of Horton. Remember, they were really close together for 3rd place. That would have been 2nd in the silver class, and Lee, of course, is a further nearly 17 seconds back for the final step of the podium. And Carlsvard and Vandenberg doing their own thing. Sarah Dove is making progress on Vandenberg, but it is fairly slow. But it is possible that Dove could get past Vandenberg for 7th place before the end of this. Of course, Dove was doing exceptionally well before the drive-through penalty they had received earlier, and Kamugli as well had a drive-through penalty. They were somewhere in the middle of silver at the time, but that demoted Kamugli all the way back to last place in silver, 11th place.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we've only seen the 2, so I'm wondering how many more drivers are sat there on 3 track warnings, trying desperately not to get a drive-through. So we may still see a couple more drive-throughs coming through towards the end of the race, which will shake the order up yet again.
That's a very good point, Nate. How many track limits warnings do all the teams have? Again, it's a 30-minute longer race than they have done all season. And it is an easy old place, as we documented earlier, to get a track limits warning. You get 3 of those, and then on your 4th one, you get that dastardly drive-through penalty. We've seen 2 get it. And the reason we bring this up, and we're not trying to hype it or anything, it's just that, well, it has played a factor several points this season, people getting penalties late.
That's one thing we can guarantee, isn't it? That penalties will mix it up a bit. Again, like you said, we've seen it wreak havoc on certain drivers' races where they've been maybe comfortably in their class position, so potential podium, and then all of a sudden penalty comes out and they lose it. So yeah, I'm very, very closely watching the penalties board now, just to see if we get any last minute drive-throughs and see where they all fall in the order again.
Yes, indeed. And one thing that now I think everybody's cleared their pit stops. Yes, everybody's cleared their pit stops. I'm going to bring up, this is the first week in many weeks that nobody got a stop and go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. So that's a positive.
Yeah, because nobody wants to get a stop and go 30 at the Spa pit lane. This pit lane, as you said, is basically 2 pit lanes. It's so long.
This pit lane here is as big as some racetracks. I'm pretty sure if you sort of did the entire pit lane here, you could roughly get the distance Alton Park is as a circuit. It is, you could literally crochet a blanket in the time it takes you to get from one end of pit lane to the other here. It is absolutely massive.
Do a lap of Monza.
Pretty much. It is a ridiculous pit lane. I understand why it is that way, and it's great to have all those extra pit stalls, especially for incredibly large races. But when you're sitting there and you're on the limiter, you lose so much time of practice and qualifying going in and out of pit road.
Yeah, that's why we saw a lot of the drivers just teleporting back to the garage instead of doing a whole lap, because it's quicker. You can get back out and on your way with fresh tires and, well, I wouldn't say lower fuel, because obviously they're putting a little bit more back in, but you can reset the car and you can get going again faster.
Well, for those of you wondering what the championship points are going to look like after this, well, unfortunately, so are we. We do not have an automatic calculation. It has to be plugged in to the table manually, and we do not have that available to us, but we do know who our champions are going to be and likely who our podium drivers are going to be. So we will try to announce them if we can. If it's too close of a race, we will elect not to do that, as McKeehan has had an issue. It's been a while since we've seen this, but what happens here? Oh, yep. Okay. Just gets loose at the top of Radion and a touch of the wall.
Yeah, you could see the weight transfer.
What was
there.
that?
The WANT transfer. There we go. That's the new word for weight. Yeah, you could see the weight transfer on the car there as they came over the hill. You saw the car, just the back end just sort of lean from one side to the other, and then obviously that upsets it, which sent them into the half spin and then the loss of control. But that was a nice little visual.
So I've updated my maths after.
Oh my god!
After Fury April has had that little bit of a moment, they will still catch them. It's just going to be inside the final 10 minutes now. I suspect around 7 to 8 minutes to go when April arrives at Rank Center, providing there's no more incidences.
Well, let's not hold out for that. It's been an instant packed race, and I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Well, I told you Sarah Dove was catching Vandenberg, and well, here is that. Sarah Dove has caught Vandenberg. and the fight for 7th commences between the two of them. Of course, taking the inside is Vandenberg, not wanting Dove to go down the inside, forcing Dove to do it the hard way. And the big Bentley putting their mark, the line in the sand. And no way to pass now from the two. Actually, perhaps a little bit of a signal there by Vandenberg with the turn signal on the Bentley saying, hey, I'm going to go to this side and not going to hold them up after all. So Sarah Dove up into the 7th place position again. Vandenberg back down to 8th, but that does not affect neither driver's standings in their class.
Yeah, again, it's that whole, if someone's faster than you, there's no point holding them up because it would just it will compromise both your races. So Vandenberg, very sensible, recognizing that, okay, Dove isn't my fight, and letting them pass and just getting on with their own race.
I don't know if I'd do that. I don't know if I would have the clear-headed view to let them go. I'd probably still be trying to fight them for no reason, but it's a very smart thing to do. I think we can all agree is like, oh, we're not racing them. I'm not going to get more points from doing this, and it's sort of pointless anyway because they obviously Vandenberg will have known that they caught up from about 10 seconds back to that point. So now the question is, can Dove get any more with Karlsvard in the Lexus in front? Could they potentially get even higher?
We'll have to see how far away. Well, they're only 4 seconds down the road from, I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, Nicole Lee. No, Natalie Lee, obviously. But so there's potential there. It just depends if the pace is there.
Are you making fun of me just now?
Would Jesse, we've known each other for such a long time, would I do such a thing?
Yes, every day of my life.
Well, maybe a little bit, but no one needs to know. Just don't tell anyone. It's okay. We'll edit this part out. But yeah, the tires
it's live.
We'll edit this part out. It's fine. The tires are getting old, and you really start to feel it. The car just, you notice you can't quite get the power down where you'd want to. You notice it starts to understeer in the corners. So it's an effect that obviously negatively impacts your time. So can Karlsvard get any further up? I'd like to see it. I'd like to see everyone win. But realistically, unless Lee has a big incident, I think Karlsvard is pretty much resigned to 6th place here tonight.
Well, we'll see. The gap is stable, at least that, and I don't think Dove is actually catching Karlsvard at all, or at least it doesn't appear like they are. So maybe this will be the final positions for them. Meanwhile, April now only 5 seconds behind rank setter now. And for the Swift Sharks 717 AMG, you can quite aptly start cueing the Jaws music.
It's going to be close. I don't know if your the legendary Jesse Lee math was quite correct, but I feel like we're going to have a showdown.
They're going to get there in about 8 minutes or so. April will be there.
You hope. This is where you're pressing the button. April, do it. Go quicker. But
you're making me second guess my Texas Instruments calculator here, but pretty sure that's still correct.
It's this has been. I don't want to put too much on it.
A bunch of time. April
really?
lost a bunch of time there going through Radeon again.
Your math's wrong.
Well, it's definitely wrong now that they've had another. Now, it'd be interesting to see if Jake can find something there. I don't know if there was, but I mean, there has to have been because April lost nearly an entire second there in between in the first sector. So you would assume someplace. Oh, yeah. Oh, was it here perhaps?
No, that seems pretty normal.
Yep, I think that was after it. So Jake's just trying to find it. That was a little, whatever it was, we can agree it happened before then. And
or
I think now.
What about if maybe Rangset had just put in a really solid first sector? I feel like we we might accidentally be taking away from Rangsetter's drive by going, oh, April lost time to Rangsetter because April made a mistake. What if Rangsetter just put in a really solid sector?
Well, that's a valid point indeed, because what if Rangsetter did set a really quick lap time? And I can tell you several laps ago that Rangsetter did just that by setting their quickest lap of the race about 3 or 4 laps ago. And it is very much possible, though April now has, it appears as if April gained all that time back as if that didn't even happen. So the third option here, Nate, is that the timing and scoring is as confused as we are.
I'm very easily confused, so I wouldn't put it past it. I can't even talk today. What is going on with me? But on board with, or following Sarah Dove as, unfortunately, another drive-through. It's going to be one of those races. This will be one to forget, I believe.
Oh, yeah, a second drive-through penalty. That means that they have had, 8 track limits warnings today to get a second drive-through penalty. And, well, Dove's season has been full of high highs and low lows, and today was somewhere in the middle, but unfortunately it looks like it is going to end on the low side, rather unfortunately. But a second drive-through penalty for the 177.
So, Jesse, get your calculator out. Where do we think that will drop Dove then? So they've
tough
got
to say.
5 seconds to Vandenberg, and is that 18 seconds to Sturch? The pit lane here is, well, agonizing. Shall we say it's a 25 second loss?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Sarah Dove's going to enter pit road for this drive-through penalty at some point, or maybe not. In fact, there's also the possibility that they go 3 laps and get disqualified because they refuse to serve it. But let's say they do come in, and Sarah Dove will celebrate a birthday, Christmas will be here, and then they'll get out of pit road, and we'll be able to determine where they're going to be. I think they'll be right around 10th.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going to come out as well, which, again, unfortunately, they had the drive-through earlier, as you mentioned, fought their way back up, and now it's all come undone.
Well, you got to get by lap traffic, folks, to get it done, and you can't underestimate the perils. We've been put on notice since race 1 at Alton Park that this many AM drivers and silver drivers in a field like this, we started with 35 plus drivers, and we have 25 plus still here at the series finale. And getting around lap traffic has always been an issue. And there you have it again, another setback for April, losing a little bit more time. And Rangsetter now with 10 minutes, actually 9 minutes left to go, you start to believe now that Hedda Rangsetter can hold off Fury April when they get there. You just, if they're having to hold them off for 20 minutes, you think that's not likely. But less than 10 minutes, you got to be talking yourself up like, oh, I can do this. If I only have to hold them up for a lap or 2, I might be able to do that.
I really, really want Rangsetter to win this. I feel like they deserve it, honestly. And that's just not me being biased or picking favorites or so, but they've had an incredible race. Well, is it though? I mean, yeah. Fury April's come here, gone.
Picking one driver over another is biased. Yes, that is biased.
Well, no, it's not, Jesse. Stop being logical. Yeah, okay, you're right. But no, I feel like Fury April came here and was like, this is my championship, and just walked it all, completely and utterly blew away the outfield. And now we're seeing April in a position that we don't normally see them in. So I really, really want to see how, first of all, April deals with racing someone that's at their pace, because, I mean, blow for blow, there was only, a couple of attempts in their lap times. And second of all, again, Rangsetter deserves this. They've had an incredible race tonight. They've driven almost faultlessly, other than a couple of wobbles that they've had, but it's to be expected in a race this length. They've driven faultlessly. So I truly believe that they deserve this win.
But I know what you mean, Nate, though, because even if April wins this race, it won't count for them. One of their wins will be evacuated because of the dropped round rule that we have. And so it won't matter anyway. But for Ranksetter, who has played second fiddle to April all day or all season and finished second most of the time, it would be a shot in the arm for Hedda. And I'm being told, I think, by their spotter that Ranksetter believes exactly what we were saying. Ranksetter believes that now, because there's so little time left, they can hold off April here at the end of the race. 2.5 seconds the gap to April behind now. Think about it. They won't actually be caught for another lap or so. So that's 4 minutes. Can you defend 4 minutes for the rest of your life? Can you defend for 4 minutes against a faster car that is catching you? I think they might be able to.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, you do have to talk yourself up. You do have to believe you can do this. Because if you sit there and go, oh no, the faster car's coming, I can't hold them, what am I going to do? You just end up losing more time because you don't believe in yourself, as we see McKeehan parked in a spot they shouldn't be. But yeah,
Well,
you have to talk yourself up.
You do. You absolutely do. As we're going to watch McKeehan here, pretty much the same. And oh yeah, just that slow slide off to the side there, and the thigh highs for Nate less than 3 team is I refuse to say Hart. It is the less than 3 team. They that's pretty much been the story of their day, and they're down in 22nd place, but they are dedicated to finishing this race. As Sarah Dove does come into pit lane, I'm starting to worry there a little bit that Dove would not come in and serve that drive-through penalty, but turns out they are doing, and we'll get back out there at some point. In fact, yes, they're getting ready to take the hairpin now. And here comes the 316 by. Where is the... let's see. I'm trying to figure out where the 888 is. Yes, the 888's going to go by. Yes, here's the 888. This is Sarah Johnson for Pineapple. I always say it like that. I don't know why. And Pineapple will get by in the 888 Bentley. And here is Sarah Dove still in the pit lane. Oh, it's so long. And there goes the 888. Well, one of the 95 of Jenny Kamugli in the Nissan GTR. There it is. The orange GTR goes by as well. So Sarah Dove's going to go from 7th to about 12th. Or excuse me, yeah, it's going to go down to 11th, rather, I should say. Sarah Dove's going to go down to 11th as Ranksetter and April are fighting over the 12th place position and the win in AM. Flipping through the field now. Late in the race, the light is failing. The headlights very much a must now to illuminate what's in front of you, as the sun has set some time ago and nothing but an orangey haze in the sky over Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium. As the story of the day is the fight for the AM win. Less than 4 minutes to go. Fury April catching 2 seconds the gap the last time by. It is very much less than that now. Can Hedda Ranksetter hold off Fury April, who has won every single round of the Diamond Drive Cup Championship? As some major lag indeed from Ranksetter there. And how does Fury April respond to this? This could all end in tears at any time now.
You have to be careful with these kinds of lags, because obviously the car ahead of you is driving fine on their screen, and suddenly you might see them warp off through the wall. You go into the space where their car was, and suddenly they come back, and that's it. They completely sideswipe you off the racetrack. So it's a tricky one, this, but we'll see how Fury April deals with it.
Just saw Witcher get by Riot for the 16th place position. The number 12 Bentley off the spot. Witcher had a tough first half of the race. responding well, though, getting another position back. I think that puts them 5th in AM. As this is the fight. 2 laps to go this time by. In-car view here of Fury April's AMG Swift Sharks team, looking out the windscreen at Hedda Rangsetter in the 818 Bentley. This the race for the win in AM. Fury April was in 3rd place overall, spun at the top of Radion, massive damage, drove the car all the way back to pit lane, lost an incredible amount of time. At one point was 7th in class, got back to 6th, then pit stops ensued, went all the way back to 3rd, had to battle Sarah Fair for 3rd, or for 2nd, took 2nd, and set out on a 17-second gap mission to get back to Rangsetter, and has done that. And here in the final minute and a half, this is the race for the win between these two. And they are very truly together now. What can Hedda Rangsetter do to get as defensive as possible? It's a Bentley. It doesn't have to try very hard to be big, but you got to think really big. As Fury April going to the inside, there's contact. There's heavy contact between the two of them.
So, you know, that looked like it was one of those slides we were talking about where the car is there and then suddenly not there. I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out. Let's see how it looks on the replay.
We just had to back out. You just had to back out there, and that's what April does. April backs out. I don't know if that was a defensive move gone wrong or what, but April, erring on the side of caution here, wants to have a shot to win this race.
I think, well, personally, Jesse, how would you play this? Because I would just sit back. I'd go, you know what? I've won everything else. I've proved I'm quick. This one I don't really need to win. But obviously the inner desire to always want to win may take over. What would you do?
I'd move them out of the way to win. You just got to. If you're this close to somebody, there's nothing in the rules that says that contact cannot be made here at RCI. Now, if you wreck somebody, that's different. But if you're faster than somebody else and you make contact when making a pass, well, you let God and the stewards handle that. But I'm not going to allow myself to be boxed in. If you are going to block me, prepare to get moved. And I didn't say wrecked, I said moved. And I don't think Fury April is that kind of driver. But I am, and you asked me, and my answer is I'd move them.
An insight into Jesse Lee's mind, everyone.
Yeah, and I've done it too. I've been banned from iRacing 4 times.
So I have a feeling, unless the nerves well and truly get to Rangsetter, this will be the final order, as we see. Wait, no! Rangsetter has a drive-through!
Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, Hedda Rangsetter has picked up a drive-through penalty for violating track limits more than 3 times. And so has Delcina. Delcina in 18th, also a drive-through penalty. Fury April has been let through by Rangsetter, and now I'm wondering if Rangsetter will even finish on the podium.
Oh no, that's terrible. Her spotter was saying to us in the chat that they've been on 3 drive-throughs since 10 minutes into the race, and to get this far is just very unfortunate. But we have to give a huge congratulations to Schmidt for the race win, comfortably in control for all but the first few laps.
Well, for Schmidt, it's going to be win number 2 on the season, and that will likely lift them into 4th place in the championship. I don't think it might be 3rd. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but at least 4th place for the 2-time winner on the season. And for a season where they were very much second fiddle to the top 2 runners, well, they ended up winning twice, and an absolute treat here today in grand fashion. Nicole Fox for Next Round Racing, done an excellent job. They are going to come across the line and win the final round in silver and win the championship as well. Good job to Fox, as Horton's going to come across the line. It was an excellent challenge all season. They are going to finish their year second in silver and the final step on the overall podium. Catherine Taylor, who is closing in late, will take home fourth and third in silver. Natalie Lee will come home fifth. Carlsvard sixth. Vandenberg seventh. Sturch eighth. Johnson ninth. Kamugli will finish inside the top 10. And then Sarah Dove, after 2 drive-through penalties, 11th. And, of course, Fury April wins the final race in AM, sweeping the series in AM, does Fury April, and winning the AM championship. Hedda Rangsetter will finish second with an 80-second penalty due to the drive-through not being served. Sarah Fair will come across the line in 14th, but third in AM. Behind them, May Witcher Riot Delcina, who received a stop and go 30 at the end. I assume they were speeding in pit lane when they were serving their drive-through. Deb Lab, Plow Robertson, McKeehan, the top 22. And drama from the drop of the green flag at Alton Park to the checkered flag here at Spa. Absolutely incredible stuff. Your champions, everyone, I can confirm to you, are going to be Felipa Bokita in pro, Nicole Fox in silver, and Fury April in AM. Fury will go 6 for 6 podiums, 6 wins in the championship, and will be one shy of that will Nicole Fox, who won in silver. They will go 5 wins and 6 podiums, and a near perfect season for them as well. Subject to change, here are your final podium finishing drivers for all of the categories. Starting with AM, Fury April, Salida Witcher, and Sketch Reyna are your provisional championship podium finishers. In AM, in silver, it's going to be Nicole Fox, Catherine Taylor, and Alice Horton. And of course, in pro, Felipa Bokita wins over Sarah Dove. And I believe it is still going to be Anor Rose who finishes third, even with them not showing today. Well, Nate, it was a fantastic championship. It came down to the wire, and always a bit of drama late in the race. And of course, we had it confirmed, season 2 on the horizon. I just want to thank all the drivers and teams and all of the people out on YouTube that came out to watch all of these rounds on a Wednesday night. I can't wait now for season 2.
No, I'm so excited. I hope to see many of the same faces, but I also hope to see many new faces. I hope there's some people who have been watching this and gone, you know what, that looks like a bit of fun. I want to get involved, and hopefully they do. So look forward to new faces, look forward to old faces, look forward to the same great racing.
Well, we're just seeing right now if any of our champions are available for an interview. So stick with us. We'll try to bring that to you if any of them are available. But season 2 confirmed here on RCI that you will get Jesse Lee and Nate with that. I'm not sure what broadcaster we're going to have, but it will be lovely all the same. And well, this season had a little bit of everything. I was amazed at just how fast some of the pros were. I did not expect them to come out of the box at Alton Park that quick, but they were absolutely running stonking laps, and some of the progression from the field. We've got some AM drivers that we know are likely going to end up in the silver class. We've got some silver drivers that are probably going to end up in the pro class. Very, very exciting, all the same. And for, I've just had to confirm that Stewie is going to be our broadcaster for season 2, as he was for season 1. And, well, I think we might have an interview. Well, here we are with Sarah Dove. Sarah Dove had uh, it was somewhere borderline between brilliant and devastating season, depending on what race we were on. Dove, second in the championship in pro. But my first question to you is, are you coming back for season 2?
Yeah, I will be.
So, out of 6 races this season, what is your big takeaway from this year?
Only drive the Lambo at certain tracks.
So
not every
clear,
track.
Clear to me that you will not be in the Lambo season 2.
Well, unless the entire season is just Kyalami, then no.
Well, Dove, here is your stats for the season. 3 podiums. You podiumed half of the races. How far away do you think from a win you are for season 2?
I don't know. I think it depends who else signs up. If Aonor and Philippa sign up again, then they'd have to crash, I think. But yeah, I think it also depends on kind of what track it is, because I think I'm better at some tracks than others, as can be evidenced by tonight.
Well, tell us about tonight. What happened tonight at Spa?
I don't know. No matter what I did with the setup, the car just felt really bad. It felt like it just wanted to understeer everywhere, and I could not go as fast through fast corners as anyone else. I had to lift off, and other people were just flying through on full throttle. And I don't know, I was just really off pace, and then within 2 laps in my first half of the race, my tires went from being able to do personal bests to being like half a second slower, and I was all over the track, and I kept getting nonsense track limit warnings that gave me 2 drive-throughs.
The drive-throughs were harsh to watch. They were really harsh to watch. But what do you think? Or, well, first of all, where did you collect most of your warnings from? Was it El Rouge?
It was a couple in El Rouge. It was mostly like the ones that didn't make any sense were on the exit of No Name, so like the left-hander after Brissell.
Yep.
And then in Stavilo. And I was like looking at the delta, and it was red and it was going up, but it said that I gained time. So oh well.
Yeah, the exit on No Name is such a pain. It's very easy. Even if you just touch the white line, it just goes, nope, that's a track limit, and you just sort of go, okay, I give up. But if you could go back and change one thing other than your drive-throughs, what would you do differently? Would you stop again maybe for fresh tires? You said you were struggling with the tires. Or would you maybe just change the setup to be a little bit more compliant in the fast corners?
I'd probably drive a different car.
I love it. I love that confidence. I love it. I love that confidence. Is like, oh, I'm better. It's just the car sucks. I love that. That's not what Sarah said, but that's what that. Listen, we're as drivers, we are allowed to blame the equipment. Sarah, I got one question for you left, and we are going to get Nate in some thigh highs at some point. That is going to happen. What color do you think we should go for? Because I'm thinking purple.
Yeah, purple and white stripe.
Oh, I love the way you think. Sarah and I are going to we're going to draw up some diagrams. We're going to have a conversation about this at some point.
Diagrams.
You have to make a pattern, Nate. Okay. Cause we may have to come up with custom printed stuff for you in the future. But Sarah, I gotta say, you podiumed half of the season, including today, and I know it was a rough championship, but realistically, in season 2, do you think that you can repeat or maybe even do a bit better with a different car?
I can definitely do better. The only race this season that didn't go in some way completely messed up somehow was uh, the Nürburgring. Because
Mm.
I know for like a fact I could have been on the podium overall in Alton Park, but I got killed. Um, and then I know I could have been on the podium in Kyalami, and I could maybe have been on the podium in Imola, and I definitely could have been on the podium in Barcelona if I hadn't turned my rear tires into like lava. So I definitely know I can do better. Um, I just have to be lucky, I guess.
Well, I think that is going to be the name of the game. Folks, Diamond Drive Cup Season 2 will be coming at you in a few weeks' time, as far as I'm aware. And Stewie, Nate, and myself will be bringing you that. We're just here chatting with Sarah Dove, who just finished up second in the Pro
Can
Championship.
I can I do a
Go on,
quick shout out?
please.
Shout out to Sarah Fair and Cupcake for getting a podium.
There, listen,
Amazing.
they're going to be podium cupcake for
Yeah,
season 2, race 1. I think they have to be. Well,
it was great watching it on the relative.
it's my favorite colored car because I looked at that car at Alton Park practice and I went, that looks like a cupcake. And I looked at the name and it said Cupcake Racing. I'm like, there's no way that they nailed that color scheme. Well, folks, on behalf of everybody here at RCI, Jake, Stewie, Nate, and myself, it has been our honor and privilege to bring you Diamond Drive Cup Season 1, and it's our honor to be back for Diamond Drive Cup Season 2 in just a little while. And it was a season full of thrills, spills, chills, and tight races from the moment we dropped the green flag at Alton to the moment where the checkered fell here at Spa. It has been unpredictable, and we expect season 2 to be nonetheless. Who will go up a division? Who may go down? And what will the championship look like in season 2? We won't know until we get there. And until then, this has been RCI TV, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us this season and invite you to like and subscribe for more GT racing content. We'll be back with you on Friday for the conclusion of the Friday GT3 World Championship. Ryan Gill and myself in the box for that one. And of course, we got Night Owl and Monza qualifying on Saturday. So hit that bell. Thank you to all of our partners, Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP, who help bring this race and every race to you live here on YouTube. And Nate, well, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm glad that we get to continue this partnership in the near future.
I'm looking forward to it. I really, really genuinely am. We go together pretty well. I know the term house on fire is normally bad, but if you're the fire and you're burning the house, it's a good thing for you.
And this is why I love Nate. Well, for everybody here at RCI, Jake Combs, Stewie, thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll see you again on Friday, and we'll see you in the future for more Diamond Drive Cup. Have a good night, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.